In this CAPSTONE Assessment in Busiapp presented by me, Alice, we will be tackling the usage of various Microsoft Excel functions that will be useful for us in making our task more manageable. We will now proceed to the first task. Select column F, then, on the Home tab, in the Styles group, click Conditional Formatting and then select New Rule. Change the style to icon sets in the New Formatting Rule window. Make sure number is selected in the Style selection, then enter a value greater than 70 for green and greater than 40 for yellow, then press OK button. As a result, we can see whether the HDL values are greater than or less than 70 and 40. Aside from that, because of the existing formatting, the formatting will be applied when new values are entered. For the second task, select Table in Task 2 worksheet to apply conditional formatting from Styles group in the Home tab. The Formatting Rule window would appear after selecting New Rule, and change the styles to Classic. Select Use a formula to determine which cells to format. Then, enter the formula equals absolute of E2, which is the in-stock values, greater than 90% multiplied by absolute of D2, which is sold last month values. To format it specifically, choose the custom format from the Format with drop-down menu. Then, in the Format Cells window, choose bold for the font style and RGB 0, 176, and 80 for the color, and then click OK. It will be the style format for the specified conditional formatting. Click OK once more to apply the newly created rule. Next, the third task. In the worksheet entitled Task 3, we will be applying the formula with if, or, and end functions to determine the usage limit for each tier. Thus, the formula for column F would be equals if or E2 greater than unlimited and D2 equals silver, E2 greater than absolute of I3, and D2 equals bronze, E2 greater than absolute of I4. Then, if the value is true, then true, and if the value is false, then false. After that, in cell I6, we will use a conditional average function to calculate the average usage by average ifs function for gold subscribers in the Northeast. Thus, the average usage would have a total of 9.666667. Now, moving on to task 4. In this task, we will use the lookup function to quickly determine the value that is being looked up. The formula equals the value reference to lookup, which is A2, the range containing the vector, which is column A, then column B for the result, which will be found in the member countries worksheet. Then, in cell F2, the formula equals if and D2 greater than 0, E2 greater than 0, both, sum or only will be used in the following step to determine whether a team participated in both seasons or only the summer games. Then the fifth task. In the fifth task, we will use the PMT function to calculate the monthly payment amount. So, the formula will be equals PMT E4 divide 12 is 6 times 12. We will divide and multiply by 12 to determine the monthly payment because the function is set up on an annual basis. Then, deducting the down payment from the principal, 0 for the future value, and 1 to indicate the beginning of the period. Thus, the total monthly payment is 906.66 pesos. For the second to the last task, task 6. Select the table in task 6 worksheet. Then, in the charts group in the Insert tab, click Recommended Charts, then select the clustered column. It will create a clustered column chart in cell A3 that displays each department, the hours worked, and the gross pay. Then, add a linear forecast trend that forecasts 3 periods of gross pay. After that, we will create a secondary axis that will display the gross pay as a line chart. Moving on to the last task, task 7. We will click the Insert Table button in the Task 7 worksheet, then select Pivot Table on this worksheet beginning in G10, which includes all fields in the table. Then, the item SKU number sign and color should be placed as rows, under item SKU number sign. Price as values and date as columns. Dates are divided into days, months, and quarters. After that, we will create a calculated field in the field items and sales under the calculations group to calculate the total sales of each order in the Pivot Table Analyze tab. Then, name the field to total sales. Then the formula of quantity sold times price. Click Add, then click OK. After that, under Color, add QTY sold to rows. Then, by selecting the entire table, we will now create an area pivot chart. Then place the pivot chart in cell A7. Then for color and quantity sold, insert a slicer. Then filter the data using the slicer to show only green items sold. After that, we will use the getPivotData function in cell A7 to return the total sales of green clothing in October.